3, 2, 1, and we are live. Welcome back to the Click to Close podcast. My name is Travis Halverson.
What's up, buddy?
Joined by the one and only
Preston Guyton.
Preston Guyton. I love the new
2025.
The new hoodies.
Yeah, man.
Is that the one that says the thing on the back?
Yeah.
Nice. Those ones are nice. Did you see the Melon Aqua collection?
No, I did not.
Dude, it's the color of the Easy Home Search and everything.
I think they did it for us.
They did it. I was like, dude, these are fire. Melon Aqua.
I think they did it for us.
Let me see if I can find it, dude. They were sick. Why does it say I'm going to google.com?
So what's new in 2025 while you're over there searching?
These hats,
Melon.
dude. What's new in 2025? We have a lot of crazy stuff coming down the pipe, man, and it's going to be a doozy. Not for us, but just for real estate in general. I mean,
well, lead providers, man.
Yeah,
I mean, the biggest one, they passed this last year, actually, in the end of 2023, in December of 2023.
Wasn't the business registration?
No, it's one-to-one consent.
Oh, one-to-one.
Yeah, so they gave, because it's such a big ruling, they give a year lead providers, third-party lead providers, a chance to figure it out.
And get it together.
Because you just look at it this way. If I'm generating a lead, and before this rule, I could sell that one lead to 30 people. And this rule says you could only sell it to one person.
That's for...
What does my income look like?
Oh, it changes 30 by less than, what is it, negative 30%? If you less this, you can't do it 30 times.
Math again.
Mathy.
It's a lot more than 30%, buddy.
Well, I know that. I just mean, like, if you're selling...
If I could sell you something, let's do quick math. We're going to have it. Humor.
I will.
Humor. Ready? We're going to do some humor on the podcast today. So if I could sell this egg to one person for $1, or if I could sell this egg to 30 people for $1, even if I cut it in half, 50 cents.
Oh, don't do that. I was good with the $1. Don't cut it in half. I was good with the $1.
But I'm just saying
$30.
$30. Okay. Say I could sell the egg to 30 people for 50 cents. That's $15.
$15.
I could only sell it for $1 a year.
Now I'm getting $1. One to one. Now I only get $1.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's crazy, man. It's when you look at it, and I could still sell it to 30 people.
Really?
Yes. But I have to get them to consent individually.
So like a 30 box step check box?
Imagine, whatever the opt-in form, let's assume the opt-in language in the disclaimer is correct, right? What it needs to be, opting into calls, robocalls, everything else. And then whether you do an individual checkbox or I've seen some that are saying, hey, it needs to have, okay, if I'm generating leads from our real estate team, ABC Real Estate, but I want my lender to get the same lead, there has to be a separate opt-in for that lender because you could only consent in a registration to one company. So say that's a checkbox. Better yet, if you think of the ones that are impacted the most, like we could get around it. I mean, we were already, Easy Home Source is always one-to-one consent, so it doesn't even matter. Yeah. Like it's no big deal for us, right? It's one lead, one company, one county. But imagine the comparison sites. So they take the one lead, and then all of a sudden you have 14 different insurance companies giving you quotes, like the Lending Trees of the world or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
One of the biggest complaints and the fighting on for the lead companies was, hey, we were providing this as a service for consumers to get the best deal. Mm-hmm. Which, yes and no. I mean, they're doing that, but they're also selling that lead hundreds of times or whatever it is. So, then you think about, okay, well, if I go to one of those comparison sites, some people are saying a checkbox is okay. It can't be pre-checked. Some are saying it can't be. Some are saying you need to have beside the name that you type your initials in to authorize that person to contact you. So, it's January 27th is fast approaching. And you think about it, like when you compare TCPA lawsuits from 2023 to 2024, they're up 40% in 2024. And people are just saying attorneys and law firms are just sitting there waiting to just file lawsuits after this. So, man, it's a big deal. And there's so much that third-party vendor has to do to ensure compliance that they could then hand that lead off.
Yeah.
The one-to-one consent, like Easy Home Search, in the disclaimer, it shows who we're actually delivering the lead to. So what company it is, it shows that. We don't call we send the e-alerts, which is fine, but we don't call, we don't text from Easy Home Search because we're passing that opportunity to whatever company it is. Mm-hmm. So they consent from the registration, but we're also capturing a screen recording and producing a certificate or form saying, hey, this person at this IP address registered at this time. So our clients will have that if something ever arises.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, and they're looking back like it's not set up to where, okay, everybody I had that came in January 26th, I could continue to call January 27th.
Yeah.
It's based on how they opted in, and you have to prove that opt-in.
Like you have to have like you have to be able to show that this
you
person
have to show
registered.
It was one-to-one consent. And so previously, all of the disclaimers, and there's still a shit ton of them out there, show that, okay, me registering on this site, it has a hyperlink to a terms of service and a privacy policy page, and it says you registering, so it doesn't say in the disclaimer. It might say affiliates, but then it goes to another page, and you click on that page, and there's some of them I've seen. I've been digging in all these reports and lawsuits and companies and everything else. There was one I saw that had over 100 different vendors, and it wasn't real estate. It was something totally different, but it was a company that's who they give your information
That
to.
is crazy. And they like say it in like their writing.
Yeah, clearly in the writing for sure.
That is so wild to me.
Yeah,
but like when people just click it because they're not reading. Nobody's reading the terms and services in the
registry. Dude, imagine if I could take. I'm just like, man, I've been doing it all wrong.
You got to partner with all these different guys.
I would have never done it that way, but I'm just saying, like, the companies, you take that one lead they generate and they sell it 40 or 50 different times. Yeah. And even if they're selling it for 25% of what we sell one lead for. Yeah. It's a shitload more money. Yep. So and that's why that's why there's been Zillow's put up a ton of money to fight it to, they have changed, not just them, but a bunch of, obviously all these lead companies are making bringing in a ton of revenue. Yeah. So there's some things they're looking at throwing out, but.
Before January 27th?
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not like
It's nothing. It's still going to be one-to-one consent.
It's still going to be one-to-one consent. It's still going to be like 30-day compliance on like the opt-out DNC and stuff like that.
No, that's another one.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Then you have April 11th. So if somebody responds, and this one's, and the bad part about all of this, like when you look at them, there's just so much of it is like there's a spectrum. Like what is a robocall? What is an auto dialer? What is not an auto dialer?
Like the definitions of these
like,
things.
The attorney I talked to about it, he goes, when you think about an auto dialer, he goes, it's kind of a spectrum. Yeah. When it gets into the court system, it becomes a spectrum because the litigator is going to say it was an auto, the defense is going to say it's not. He goes, so when you're looking at the spectrum, look at, and I'm not going to name any company names, look at the one over here.
Doing like 17 line
It's like
dialer.
A rotary phone.
Oh, gosh.
That is not an auto dialer.
That is not an auto dialer.
A rotary phone. Imagine if you had to call people on a rotary phone.
Exactly.
That would be bad.
But that's how you...
Or talk about Greg. Like he was, dialing with both fingers. Yeah. So, had a phone here. So that is the one spectrum. And then over here...
Greg classified as an auto dialer?
No. And then you have the other spectrum where it's the... AI that could call 50,000 people in a day.
Or in a minute, dude. It's just like, this is a massive blast.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's like where they look at like both sides of it. It's like, well, I mean, it's...
So then you look at like, okay, you have that. So there's that spectrum. Then you have the 3-line dialer that automatically produces, but then you have the ones that you generate a list and it calls. You have the, auto dialers that just randomly populate phone numbers, and they're calling from whatever country they're calling from.
That's crazy.
So there's that side of it, and then you have the rotary phone over here. And his explanation to me was, get as close as you can to the rotary phone
to be able to even fight the fact that it's not an auto.
Correct. Yeah, because then you look at like Follow Up Boss. Yeah. Follow Up Boss is say in the middle or maybe closer to the rotary. Yeah. Because you choose the list you call. Yep. And you have to click to call.
To go to the next one.
Go to the next one. So it's not...
Technically, it's not... I mean, it's technically an auto dialer, but not an auto dialing
that's
system.
The thing, though. In court, depends on how the court system and how they look at it. Yep. And there's no clear definition. There's a definition, but there's no clear, there's so much, and he said there's so much up to interpretation.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
For sure.
That's the problem with it. And
it's really going to be like the opinion of the court of who like it really is ruling in it, right?
Yeah. And then if you get to court and then you fight it, and all of a sudden you have X amount of hundreds of $1,000s of attorney fees, and you could have just settled it for $50,000. It's just going to be it's going to be
getting the class action lawsuits.
It's going to be a disaster. But so April 11th.
Yeah, April 11th.
That is around the people opting out.
Got it.
If they opt out, you have 10 days to remove them from all communication. But it's not only that. It's like, okay, they have the normal opt-out language. Like if they say stopped, if they say, don't, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Stop. What else do you put in?
End.
No more. Whatever those terms are that you have for they could opt out, right? Opt out. But then there's beyond that. It says it can also be anything that could be interpreted as them saying stop.
Like F you.
Well, does not interested fall into that?
Yeah, technically. Well, it depends on who's looking at it.
That's my point. It's like they could even type something out. I don't want to hear from you anymore today. So does that mean that we opt out of everything?
Or is that just today?
So there's just so much. Yeah, there's so much, and then it's like opting out of all things. So like with real estate, it's not as difficult, right? Like it's okay. We're calling them to do business or whatever. We're calling them to talk to them about where they're at in whatever. But if you look at like companies that are like healthcare companies, right? So they're doing marketing texts and they're doing like text to you to update your health records. They're doing text, hey, update your payment or whatever. And if you opt out of one of those things, you opt out of all. So you didn't necessarily mean to opt out of the updates on your health, right?
Yeah.
But you meant to opt out of all the marketing.
Yep.
So it's saying if that one opt out, you opt out of everything. Yeah. So
would you say that this is probably the biggest impact real estate's seen in a long time? Something like this? I know that like the whole like, commission stuff was a thing.
Yeah, the commission.
But that was always a thing. But like, I don't think it affected as much as people thought.
I think this is silently affecting. People aren't paying attention.
Oh, I don't think people are.
People are not paying attention, and
thank God a lot of our teams know. Like they're like aware. Like we have a lot of our teams. That
okay,
are, like,
we'll talk to you this. Prospecting, is it dead?
Is
prospecting, expired foreclosures,
going to be
withdrawals, for sale by owner? Is it dead?
As of the 27th?
Yeah.
Yeah. In my opinion, I feel like it would be. Like you are really gambling at that point in time. If you catch someone,
you don't call, do not call, right? No, and majority of people when they do that, they skip over DNC.
They also don't, but a lot of them
DNC
don't know
numbers.
They don't know if they are.
You think about it, like a contact could have multiple phone numbers, and only one of them could be on the DNC list.
Oh yeah, we've seen it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like inside the FUB account, like it shows. Well, the scary thing is like being an ISA for 7 years, I just called blindly. I just didn't know what I was calling. I was just calling.
Yeah.
And there's been systems that we've had that says like, oh, this leads could be on the DNC. Like check this box to indicate that that it's not. And I was like, yep, checking this box.
It's going to bring, and what it's going to bring, unfortunately, it's going to bring a lot more, just people going to, litigators and everything that are going to pay more attention to not only DNC, but recorded phone calls.
Oh yeah. The two-party consent and all that stuff.
Yeah, so there's certain states, California being one. I think that's where that case happened, where 6 phone calls and it was $36,000 because it happened in California, and they didn't. It was a 2-way, so they had to. Where 1-way is just right?
Yeah.
You don't have to tell them. Well, they're a 2-party, and they didn't let them know.
They don't have like a whisper.
I don't know if they used the recording. I don't know if they used the recording to prove or not, but I think they put themselves in trouble by. Like, hey, we have this recording. Okay, well, did they opt in? Did they give you consent to record the call?
Was there a whisper at the beginning saying that this call is recorded for quality purposes and things like that?
Yeah.
It's a good thing FUB put that in. But a lot of teams are like, oh, I don't want to turn it on. Like, it hurts my answer rate. It's like, are you sure it hurts your answer rate?
Yeah. So it's like, the one-to-one consent, I think, is broader across. It's not just real estate, right? It's, both of them.
Yeah.
The commission lawsuit was real estate.
Yep.
This has a broad, major so many different industries. Yeah, it's going to have a massive impact for sure.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But remember, we are not attorneys.
We definitely are not.
We are definitely not. I mean, I can't even do math. So simple addition.
Yeah,
what are we doing?
Do not. Yeah, we are not attorneys.
We are not attorneys. So seek legal advice if you have any questions about that.
We might have dropped the wrong date. Who knows?
But we also did sign up with, who were you saying, Troutman?
Troutman Amin, yeah. So,
and what are we doing to prepare everybody for it?
Yeah, John Henson, he's going to be on January 10th. We're doing a webinar at 12 Eastern, TCPA checklist, the ultimate TCPA checklist. That's where you get confused because it is tcpacheckup.com/Zoom. The name of the Zoom is your ultimate TCPA checklist.
Man.
Checklist. That's where you're getting confused.
You are so right.
Yeah. So www.tcpacheckup.com/Zoom. Yeah, so it's a free webinar. The intent with this is not, our intent is not to sell people. I mean, we want to educate people. Obviously, if you sign up, we're not going to be mad for Easy Verify, but we really want people. What I've seen in social media is there's so much misinformation out there.
Yeah.
It's like people read the headlines and they don't read any further. So that's the problem. Is like, oh, I read this headline and this is if you continue to read the article, you would read the headline was bullshit just to get you to show up. Right. So there's so much misinformation out there and misinterpretation of like, oh, somebody opting out of a TCPA is around phone calls and texts.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with email. There's nothing in TCPA telephone.
Yep.
So nothing to do with
and
email.
And letters. You can send people snail mail.
Yeah. So when somebody opts out, you could still email them.
Yep.
John has shown email works.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Social still works.
Yep.
Mail, directed mail, not blind mail to a massive zip code. Directed mail to the people that register and you get an address from.
Gotcha.
So those
you said
things.
Socials work. Can I add people on like Facebook and message them? Yeah, like Facebook Messenger. Is that still considered texting? See, I'm just thinking, spitballing here. Just wondering.
Yeah, no, it's
maybe Facebook will increase their 5,000 person limit.
It is not considered texting.
It's not considered texting.
WhatsApp, not texting.
Really? I mean, your phone number. If you have WhatsApp, it's just your phone number, right?
I don't know. I think it's a separate phone number.
It's a separate phone number.
Do you have a WhatsApp number? That one, WhatsApp, you might want to check that.
Yeah.
Not an attorney. But
not an attorney.
I'm telling you, social, when somebody opts out of texting and calling, that does not mean they opt out of social stalking.
Stalking? Stalking? That's stalking?
But yeah, no, seriously, you can still email, you can still send letters.
Is this where you start a TikTok and start
social? I mean, just continue, and then what becomes more important is your brand, right? So with this, brand is that much more important. Do what you can to educate. Big reason why we're doing this tcpacheckup.com/Zoom is to educate people. We want them to walk away with a checklist of things that they could check against to understand if they're compliant or not. Just have good information. There's so much bad information out there.
Yeah.
So we want people to walk away with good information. Seek legal advice. If you have questions, do not ask social media.
Yeah,
don't ask your buddy that's on social media. And I heard this.
Yep.
And those are the ones that are saying like they're coming up with things that aren't even an issue, and like they're giving attorneys ideas.
Exactly.
Stop with that. It's
the same thing with like the commissions and stuff. People were just posting on social media all the time. So then every other person selling their house thought they knew what they were talking about. I don't want an agent. I'm not.
It's
just fear mongering.
Yeah, I mean, just stop asking
and educate yourself.
Yeah, just find out the true answer, and that's what we want to give people. Come to that. We want you to leave with understanding of what you can and can't do.
And we've been getting questions all week, you know what I mean? And like past 2-3 weeks. So like we're just writing them down. So I mean, like any question these people are going to have.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to get to every question. It's going to be a webinar format. We're going to have our list of questions we're going to ask. We're going to try to go through as many questions as we get in the Q&A.
We don't want to get stuck into like the weeds of things and like.
It's not open.
Yeah, it's not an open forum.
your questions are going to go into the chat.
Yep.
So John's going to be asking John the questions.
Yep.
And from that, after that's done, then I'll go through, or throughout that process, if somebody has a question on a question we had, I'll pop in and say, hey, here's a question that just came in. can you give us your advice?
Your advice, yeah.
It's not legal advice.
Yep.
It's not. That's the main thing we'll point out is that he's not your attorney. He's just here to answer any questions. And then we'll go through as many as we can in the chat. For all the questions we don't get answered,
Yep.
I'm going to copy and paste them into a document, and we'll try to get them all answered. And then when we send the recording out,
we'll get like a Q&A.
It's going to have all the questions that were asked
like
that were not answered.
Nice.
Or as many of them as we can.
Nice.
I mean, we've already got
100 questions.
No, I mean, not questions. We already have close to 200 registrations. We might be at 200 registrations now. So you can imagine if
we posted it like last week.
Yes, we posted it today.
No, today. Sorry, no, not last week. I was thinking. I remember you telling me about it last week.
But if we have 1,500 registrations or 1,000 registrations, and just for rough math, let's say 30% of them show up, 40% of them, or 50, whatever, 600 people show up. Obviously, there could be a lot of questions. So we'll try to get to all of them, but we also only have a limited amount of time. I think we have 45 minutes to an hour. I think he's going to give us an hour of his time, which is obviously you can imagine they're a lot of recognized as number one TCPA law firm in the country. January 10th. I'm not going to ask you how many days.
17.
17 days before the date. So you could imagine
how busy they are.
Yeah,
for sure.
So it's exciting though.
What's the website again?
TCPAcheckup.com/Zoom.
TCPAcheckup.com/Zoom.
Sign up.
/.
If you sign up and for whatever reason you can't make it, you're still going to get the recording. So go there and sign up. Just because you sign up does not mean you have to be there live. We're going to have the recording. We're going to send it out to only the people that register. So if you don't register, you don't get it.
Yep. And you guys, you'd be very surprised to know how many people in your database run the DNC. We had a database of like 38,000, close to like 28,000 were on the DNC.
Mm-hmm. And it depends on the market. Some markets more than others, but we ran ours 250,000 people, and we had just at 100,000
on the DNC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And here's the thing, not every single person in there.
So what you should be doing from now until January 27th is getting as many people that are in your database currently to opt in to future conversations.
And that means to establish a business relationship.
Correct. You need to get their consent.
Yep.
Have them respond. You could quickly build a form, have them sign. Make it black and white. Have them sign their name on the form. It could be a Jot form, it could be a Google form, whatever it is. Just make sure the disclaimer in there is correct. Just get as many as you can in your database to opt into communication.
Yep. Well, huge. That's going to be awesome.
Yep.
January 10th, 12 Eastern.
12 Eastern.
12 Eastern.
All right, man.
Bye. See you all there.
See y'all.